Yes.
Yes, because we see them going around the streets. And then when we remember also that majority of our parents send us to school as insurances for them in their old age,
Yes.
we also begin to appreciate the amount of pressure that comes upon a young graduate when he doesn't have job and his poor mother is sick and his poor father is sick and he can't afford money for transport for treatment. So these things, they come together sometimes to build up a negative energy that we see in the society, like taking to crimes. So it is a point that must be addressed. Skill acquisitions must be addressed and sponsored also. If the government can, like I said before, cannot do it all, then the government can also create an enabling environment for people to participate in helping matters.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughts on and your contribution to that question. So before I go to Aldo again, I have a last question for Assistant Commissioner Wilfred Afolabi. So, sir, I was reading on the newspaper that in January this year, although we have so many harrowing issues happening in Africa, but we see that there are also some progress in some places. And for example, in January this year, I was reading it on the news whereby you were part of a covert operation in the southern part of Nigeria, where the baby factory was shut down by your team. Trafficking is also a part of, I think, the many symptoms of this disease that is affecting our African continent. How did you feel after that operation? Because I believe that shutting down of that baby factory is also a positive change, for our continent, because they tell these women that if you give birth to these babies, they will give you some amount of money, or maybe you might even travel abroad. So how was it for you? How was it? Can you please tell us?
Well, thank you so much for the question. To me, I just felt it's part of one's effort at helping humanity, because when you look at it, the practice is a situation where underage girls
Yes.
are brought to camps, and then they get men to sleep with them, with promises that after they give birth, they will be given huge amount of money, and then they will let them go. To me, this is a matter of child abuse. Not just that. It's one act, that demystify humanity. So being involved in an operation to help to check that, I see it more as helping to strengthen social justice,
Yes.
helping to reach the society
Yes.
of an act against humanity.
Yes.
And also being involved in helping to put a stop to this act, which to a large extent, sort of does not give any young girl any future at all. So it made me feel fulfilled. And if in future any such occurs, I will be most willing to at least play my own role and see to how we can check it.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Because I know how trafficking is. It's just like, I was reading on Twitter yesterday and someone was like, oh, it's like Mexico and it can be very dangerous. And, that was, it was something, it was a patriotic something you did, risking the life of your life and that of your team, to go, and because we know how the South is now. We know how security agents are losing their lives every day. So kudos to that, and thank you for being a good example for the security force and also for us as Africans. And that brings me to Mr. Audu. You know, as a journalist residing in the German diaspora, this insecurity affects us all. They'll say it in Nigeria and the last, it will touch everybody. Because you might think across the Mediterranean Sea, but we're also Africans. So how do you think Africans can play a patriotic role in helping to reduce this issue, which is gradually destroying our beautiful continent?
Thank you, my dear sister. Well, this particular question that you're asking me has been on the floor for, I don't know, decades.
Yes, exactly.
It has been on the floor for decades, and
yes,
each passing day, people do cross the Mediterranean to Europe to seek greener pastures. The African Union is helpless because most have seen the African Union as a toothless bulldog which can bark but hasn't got any tooth to bite. So the onus is on the respective governments to ensure that they do the needful. And when I talk about they doing the needful here, they need to put in place policies that will help the cause of the youth, policies that will strengthen the youth, policies that will bring employment, policies that will minimize poverty. You see, these are the major factors that cause people to leave their homeland in search of greener pasture in the white man's land. So if some of these things are worked on, will people travel?
No.
No way. But our leaders, they claim to have vision, they claim to have this, they claim to have that. When they are entrusted with the responsibility to lead, I don't know whether there is some witchcraft up there that is on the low side anyway. Then they are totally consumed by it.
I know the situation can be confusing, even for a child. Yes.
Not confusing, so to say, my dear sister. It is explicit. And we mustn't let it seem as if Africa, we've not seen it before. There were some visionary leaders who did a lot to help the cause of Africa. What is it that has gone amiss that now we are seeing awkward stuff there in Africa?
Sorry, Mr. Audu, is your Facebook on? If it's on, you can just click it off so that we don't have an echo.
Well, I don't have my Facebook. Maybe it's coming from somewhere. I don't know.
Okay. Then we're listening.
Yeah, so you see, like I was telling you, my dear sister, our African leaders are a total failure. They are the cause of all these things. Not until they back their words with action, this thing will continue. People will travel through the Mediterranean and die. Sometimes when you hear of such stuff, it is very heart-wrenching.
Yes.
As if there is no solution whatsoever to it. All boils down to the fact that leaders come in and work with their manifestos at the expense of national policies. Germany here that we are living, there are national policies that the German government is working with. If you go to a place like America, the American government has gotten a national policy that it is working with. So Angela Merkel, as the Chancellor of Germany, has gotten a model. That model that she is coming up with is something which will not override the national policy therein.
Yes.
But contrarily in Africa, that is not the case. Africa, our leaders, when they assume the reins, they come up with their manifestos, and these manifestos are mouth-watering stuff. So when they come in there, they are unable to deliver. Nigeria, that is what culminated in this EndSARS thing.
Exactly.
You go to Ghana, as I speak with you now in Ghana, there is a heated social media attack. the youth are up in arms against the Ghanaian government on social media.
Yes.
And people, key people in leadership positions in Ghana. The critical question that we need to be asking ourselves is, what has accounted for that?
Mm.
As I did indicate earlier, we have a vast leadership deficit in Africa. When people are interested with power, they forget everything. Ghana, let me use Ghana as an example. There is a National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, in Ghana, which is supposed to champion national development policies.
Yes.
But as I speak with you now, it is an office which is directly under the presidency. So whoever is appointed to work there as the chairman or the leader of that, that's the bidding of his paymaster, and his paymaster is the government of the day. So if it does happen that way, my dear sister, will the national development policy, which is a laid down policy with the constitutional backing, allowed to be working? The party manifestos will give way. The national development policy will give way for the party manifesto. The party manifesto too, some of them are not, most of them are not fulfilled, my dear sister. So the youth will forever be up in arms against our respective governments in Africa. Let's go to Nigeria. You see, this is what has culminated in this Boko Haram thing in Nigeria, that the Boko Haram people, as I speak with you now, are a pain in the neck of the Nigerian government. Recently, what happened in Chad? Idris Deby's issue. You see, there is a dynasty now. You see, there is a dynasty now.
Yes.
The moment the father dies, the son takes over. A classical case is also in Togo. The year the man dies, his son takes over. So if we have this trend in Africa, where are the youth going to have jobs? They will travel to Europe. They will travel to America in search of greener pasture, with some dying under very, very, very heart-wrenching situation. So our leaders, it is high time they provide jobs. It is high time they give something which will stimulate the youth to stay in their countries and be well off. Simplicity, my dear sister.
Thank you very much for that insightful contribution to our talk today. I don't know, Dr. Robert, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Wilfred Afolabi, do you both have any last messages that you would like to say before we close the roundtable talk? Dr. Robert, please.
Okay, thank you once again. You know, the notion of leadership as understood by us in Africa is not actually what it is supposed to mean. It is just as when we are talking about minister.
Yes.
A minister in Nigeria is a sacred cow. Nobody touches him. But the original meaning of minister means a servant.
Mm.
Minister is an English word, but it is taken from Latin. Servant. A minister is somebody who is ready for service. And a leader is somebody who leads people. You lead people from one stage that is not okay to another stage. So yes. A leader is somebody whose goal is to make things better for the people who are following him or her. But in Nigeria today, we talk about leaders. So Mr. Audu talked about leadership inefficiency and all those things. But the problem we have in Africa is that we have wrong people and we give them titles that don't belong to them. People in Nigerian politics are not supposed to be leaders. They are self-appointed business people. And like business people, they are only interested in making profit. Some moments ago, there was an interview in China's television. Somebody who is supposed to be in charge of a project could not give account of 5 million euros. And the other day, some time ago, somebody was called by the House of Rep to give account of his service, and he fainted. So these are the things we have in Africa. A leader must be somebody who has transformational leadership quality, democratic leadership quality.
Yes.
These are what makes a leader. But when our politicians don't have these things, we cannot expect them to lead us to anywhere. They will only lead us into their wallets and their pockets and their bank accounts. And that is what is happening. So we don't have leaders in Africa. What we have in Africa are business people who got involved in politics and who want to use politics to maximize their profits. That is what we have. And the only thing to stop it is for the people of Africa, of Nigeria, of Ghana, wherever, to get actively involved in politics.
Yes.
Edo State gave us an example when they were talking about Edo no be Lagos. They gave us an example. They stood by that statement, Edo no be Lagos, because one particular human being in Lagos wanted to impose a leader, the so-called leader, upon them. And they refused. They chose their own leaders. And on the day they cast their vote, they stood and said, we must sit here until you count the votes and we see the result. And they sat down there, people counted the votes, and they took the figures and went home. The only thing that is happening now is court cases against the person they chose. But the important thing is that they stood up against corruption, voted for their choice, and defended their vote. So that is what can save Africa. If it is about leadership as we see it today in Africa, Africa is not going to get up from the slumber.
Thank you very much, sir. And to you now, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Wilfred Afolabi, please, what will be your closing remark for today?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Esther. Like I rightly said, the issue of the border, we do not need to wait on the leader of Chad to take over the responsibility of securing our borders on our behalf. Then it's not as if maybe the government too is not trying its best. We have a lot of immigration officers deployed to that axis. And presently, with the war that is ongoing there against the terrorists, we have so much deployment too of the military towards that area. But then there are some fundamental issues that needs to be addressed, which I highlighted, like the issue of national identity.
Yes.
I want the pressure group needs to pile more pressure on the government to take that project more serious. At the same time, the issue of delineation, that is the demarcation, it needs to be well defined. Some of these things were done by the colonial masters, but I think more needs to be done so that we will know the area that is in Nigeria and the area that is not in Nigeria. If it means to construct a wall, you know, I don't see what is bad in doing that, because no doubt about it, the influx of some of these people into our country has done us more harm than good.
Yes.
It's not just a matter of bad people coming in. We are talking about some of the arms that were used during the spring wars being brought into our country. And you know what that means when these bad guys have all those things in their hand.
Yes.
We are seeing the consequences. So fundamental issues like these are things that the pressure group needs to take it up with the government so that the government can take a more decisive action on this issue of border security. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. And Mr. Audu, what would be your closing remark before we end the talk for today?
Well, thank you, my dear sister. What I would say is that for Africa to be on its self again and achieve the 2063 agenda that we've set for ourselves, that
yes.
we want to be self-sufficient, we must ensure that the leadership problem there in Africa, as Reverend Father was talking about, is solved. And the youth must be allowed to be key players in governance.
Mm.
The old folks, they are all more dinosaurs now.
Mm.
And it is high time they assume the backbench and allow the youth to be at the front burner. And with this, that is what is going to help the cause of Africa.
Mm.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for taking out time out of your busy schedule to be here today on the roundtable. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Yes, so and that brings us to the end of today's stream. You know, although the narrative plays a different music and paints a terrible picture about Africa, but I believe that Africa still holds opportunities which can be harnessed by its various ethnic groups and tribal groups. But perhaps we have a pivotal role to play. Perhaps we have to summon the courage to join the whistleblowers and start blowing the whistle against bad governance, against human, food, conflict security, against poverty, and so much more. A wise man recently told me, he said, Esther, all these you have mentioned are just the symptoms of the disease. If we want a new and better Africa, just like our speakers have said today, we might have to go to the drawing board. We might have to go to our various constitutions and see where did it all go wrong. And you and I would definitely have to play a role to helping to see a new and a great Africa. Africa can still rise again, but will you play your part or will you just watch? Well, like they say, watch and pray. The ball is in your court. You decide. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. My name is Dr. Esther Samson Lokaria, coming to you live from NASEM Radio. This is the Roundtable, and we will end with Nancy Ngetish, Faithful God. Thank you so much. Faithful God. Oh, faithful God. Faithful God. You are true to God of yesterday, God of today, God of tomorrow. You are faithful. God of yesterday, God of today. You remain the same. You never change. Faithful you are. Faithful you were. You never change. Faithful you were. Faithful you were. You never change. Faithful you are. Faithful you are. Mungu wa jana, Mungu wa leo, Mungu wa kesho, mwaminifu. Mungu wa jana, Mungu wa leo. Nadine Detish is a Christian woman, and that's her song, Faithful God. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful weekend. Stay blessed.